Hi, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome to my channel. In today's episode, I am making a dried flower door wreath for the first time, which I'm testing out to hopefully do some future evening classes on. I'm also doing a little trip to Mottisfont Abbey to get some garden inspiration for my own garden. And then I'm also starting to create my new vegetable patch in my garden. I used to have an allotment which I've now given up now that I have a garden, and so I'm trying to create some areas in the garden that I can grow fruit and vegetable. So today's episode has the start of my first vegetable patch. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I've got some quiet time and I'm going to have a look at some of the crafts that I think I want to do as possible classes. I'm going to be testing out some materials because obviously I want them to work well. I don't want to get to a class ready and find out that they're rubbish. So I have made some beeswax pillar candles or dinner candles, and these are going to be used to paint on them. I used to do painted candles previously, but I used to use paraffin, which isn't the best thing to burn. Although, to be honest, most people don't burn these candles, they usually use them for decorations. But I've opted for beeswax. Obviously, I have access to beeswax, so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to have a go at painting some of these, see what patterns and designs I can come up with, and then use these for photography and for advertising classes. And then I'm also going to do a dried flower door wreath. I say door wreath, it might not go on my front door, it depends how fragile it is. It might be used as a table centerpiece maybe. I'm going to see, we'll see what I come up with. But what I have got is a kind of wicker, maybe willow ring. And then I've ordered some dried flowers. So I've got lots of dried baby's breath, which I thought would be quite nice. And then some other dried flowers as well that I've ordered. Ooh. Yeah, these lovely sprigs. So I'm going to take these apart and then use them to decorate the wreath. I'm going to sit and do that. So I've got all my bits and pieces. I had to wait for everything to be delivered. Got my coffee, and I'm going to sit and have a nice little crafting session, which I haven't done in ages, and just enjoy myself for an hour or so, however long it takes. Laying out all of my materials I'm going to be using. I'm going to try out two different types of wire. This one I think is too springy, if that makes sense. This one I think might be better, but I will get some proper floristry wire, I think, if I do this as a class. But I'm going to see how this wire goes. I'm afraid I've got a noisy neighbour next door, so hopefully you can't hear him in the background of this video. I'm going to start, I think, by doing the baby's breath and having it just kind of, I haven't tied it to it yet, having it spaced out evenly all the way around. I'm using about half the amount that I got in the box to see what that looks like, and then I'm going to start adding in the colourful materials just to see what that looks like. I don't know how big and bushy I want this, or whether I want it to look a little bit more sparse. I do also quite like the half moon ones, but I think for my door, basically I've got a really, I don't know if you hear that drilling, I've got a really ugly door knocker, which is a bat that's hanging upside down. When I first viewed this property, I thought, oh, I'm going to either really learn to love that or I'm going to hate it, and I hate it. I think it's because it's a really cheap and nasty one, so this is hopefully going to hide it. So. This is what I am looking like at the moment. Oh. So I just need to tie a few pieces in a bit more, I think. But whether it's the light or whether it is actually some parts are a bit bushier than others, so I just need to even it out a bit. And then add in the colourful pieces. I ended up adding quite a bit more of the baby's breath to the wreath. And now I'm going to start adding these. I've got a few of these bunches, so we'll see how the first one goes, and then I can add more in as I need to. Right, now that I've added my dried flowers, that is what it looks like. I'm quite pleased. I've left this gap here a little bit more sparse because that's where I'm going to hang a ribbon. I'm just going to go through my ribbon collection and see what I have left over. There are some items that need to be tied in a little bit more to make it look a little bit more even. But overall, I'm quite pleased with that. I think going forward I probably won't use the silver wire, I'll use proper forestry wire. But I do like that, and I do like the colour scheme actually. I didn't think I was too sure on it when I first got it, but I think it's come out really nicely. I decided against ribbon in the end. It didn't fit the aesthetic, as it were, so I've gone for some twine instead. I think maybe some burlap as a ribbon could work, but here it is. I'm going to go and test it on the front door now. I've also unfortunately run out of time to do the candles, and that gets quite messy, so I'm going to have to save that for another week when I get a quiet chance to sit down. This is the door knocker. Delightful, isn't it? I feel like if it was better quality it would be nicer, but it's really cheap. Well, it's a cheap front door, to be honest. All needs replacing. I can't actually see a way of attaching this so that it hides the knocker. If anything, it just makes more of a feature of it. So I'm going to have a look at, see if I can remove this at some point in the next few weeks, maybe replace it with something else, and then get an actual wreath hanger so it will sit up there. I think it looks nice though. I just don't like the knocker. We are on our way to Mottisfont Abbey this morning. I'm going to go and meet a friend up there with her daughter as well. Mottisfont is a national trust, and it's our most local national trust. We go there quite a lot. It's got beautiful, beautiful gardens. So I'm going to go there and try and get some inspiration. At the moment, it's the peak, or just before the peak of the summer roses. So it should be really, really pretty. I love a rose, so I'm going to enjoy the rose gardens. And they also have a really fantastic kitchen garden, which I really, really like. So I'm going to take some inspiration from there on what to do with my little garden. So I'll bring you along. I didn't get as much Mottisfont footage as I would have liked, because going with a toddler is a completely different experience to going on your own, but I got some bits and pieces of inspiration, and now I'm gonna crack on with some bits in the garden. Also, this is my rose on my patio, and it has finally opened, and it is a really pretty rose. I've been waiting a few weeks for this to open. I saw all the buds and I had no idea what colour it was. So this has been a pleasant surprise. So this is what is left over from where the shed has been taken down. So there's a concrete plinth under here that the other garden shed's going to go on top of once I've cleared all of this. As you can see, there's a lot of junk. I've taken some of it to the tip already. The rest of it I can't fit in my car, so I'm going to have to rope in some assistance. Everything else is too big to go in there. But I do feel like I've achieved something by knocking that down. Just need to get the other one moved across now. I have managed to dispose of the last bits of metal. That's all gone to the tip now. My dad mentioned that I could probably use these old pallets as kindling for the log burning stove that I've got in the house. We'll see. I'm going to break those down and put them to one side. But the rest of it here is mainly bags of compost, the odd bit of junk that could just go in my normal bin. Oh, we've got a very hot looking blackbird there. Hey Mrs. Blackbird. You're looking terrified and quite parched. I'll give her a couple of minutes and see if she's still there. Yes, it would be nice to get this area tidied up, and then I'm prepping the vegetable patch at the moment. As you can see, the area where the shed will go later. So I'm just going to empty a couple more bags of the compost that I removed from the compost heap into here. I am going to be getting some wood to go along here. I'm just waiting on it from my dad, but I'm still going to plant some things up and get them in the ground ready. I've actually cleared away some of the smaller branches from this to clear more space and a bit more sunlight on the vegetable patch. I've also taken away some of the chamomile, and there's some weeds under there as well, just to open it up slightly more. Popped a couple of bags of compost there. I'm just going to put another bag along here, and then I'm going to be able to start planting some bits and pieces. So just had a look through my seed box. I've got some beetroot and I've got some spinach. I'm running out of things I can kind of directly sow into the ground now, because I should have done seedlings earlier in the year. But I've also got some flower seeds as well that can go directly into the ground. So I'm probably going to do these in the front garden, because the front garden's looking very sparse now that all of the spring bulbs have died over. So I'll pop a colour into the front garden, I think. But along with some kale seedlings that I'm going to pop out now, I'm also going to sow some of these. I've planted in a few of the kale plants. They're probably a little bit too close together, but I'm sure they'll survive. The rest, I'm going to keep a couple just in case the slugs and snails get these, but the rest I'm going to pop out onto the wall outside the front of my house with a free sign, see if anyone else picks them up to plant in their garden or allotment. I forgot I had some tomato plants. I've popped one over there. I'm going to pop them in this bed. It's not recommended to put tomato plants with kale because they fight for some of the same nutrients, but I don't have anywhere else for these tomato plants to go, and they're not going to survive long in here. I would usually use a grow bag, but I just don't have the space at the moment, so they're going to go in here along with the beetroot and the spinach. Spinach should be okay alongside the kale. The beetroot I'm going to do right at the front because that will compete for nutrients with the kale and spinach, I believe. So this patch is going to be a bit higgledy-piggledy this year, but next year I might actually create a second bed because I do like growing vegetables. I'm just going to do a couple of rows of spinach along here, not to do too many because I might do succession planting, which means once the first lot I've used up, I'll replant some more so I get a full crop throughout the summer. These ones actually also grow in the autumn and winter as well, so I should get a good crop out of this. This is a Thompson & Morgan. I'm just going to lightly cover what I put on there with the compost. Do the same with the beetroot and then give everything a really good water. This is the beetroot ones I'm going to do, so they can still be sown in June and in July, and again I'll do some now and some later in the year. I have done yellow and white beetroot before as well, which is very fun, but I'm just going to do these normal ones for now because we'll eat the leaves for salad and then we'll eat that as a root vegetable later in the year. So it's early morning at the moment on a Sunday. Got my coffee in the garden. I'm in my pyjamas and welly boots. Whilst my little one is still asleep, I thought I'd just come out and check on the vegetable patch. Make sure that no little pests have got to the kale or anything like that since yesterday. And it all looks okay. Oh, actually, now I'm saying that I have spotted a leaf that has been munched. That little stalk there was a leaf, so I'm going to keep an eye on them. I don't tend to use any kind of pest control, and I didn't at the allotment. What I am noticing difference-wise between the garden and the allotment Bearing in mind, where I previously lived, I had a flat. I had a very, very small garden that I didn't really do much with because I didn't technically own it. I just had pot plants. So with my allotment, it's very open. So I didn't tend to get slugs and snails very often. There were hardly any spiders because it's so open. It's very open, very dry. The thing that I had to contend with the most were the birds. The pigeons were rife. They would eat all your seedlings and stuff like that, but I didn't have any of the slugs and snails. And just from clearing up this garden, I've noticed there are a lot more slugs and snails. And the spiders in this garden and in the house are absolutely gigantic. I mean, my flat had spiders, but these are like the size of the palm of my hand. I've got small hands, so the size of the palm of my hand. So I'm definitely noticing quite a difference in the little beasties in the garden. I do have some netting and things like that I can put over these. That isn't going to stop the slugs though, they're going to get in, but it will stop any birds. I don't think I have a bird problem though. The main birds we've got here are ducks because we're right by the river, and the occasional blackbird. But yeah, I'm going to have to keep an eye out for these slugs and snails. I'm just out here to collect some of the wild strawberries to have with some yoghurt. I have to say, I have never smelt something so sweet before. It almost smells artificial, and they are so juicy and so sweet. Obviously they're tiny, but they have such a strong, very, very sweet smell to them. I just want to end the video by saying that this plant is the plant that's given me the most joy this week. It's a chive. It's a chive that I rescued, and the flowers have just been phenomenal this week, and the bees have absolutely loved it. And I've loved just coming out here with a drink and watching the bees. Favourite plant of the week this week.